Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Blogger Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Jillian Leslie. I'm super glad that you are here. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've been building businesses online since 2009, and I wanted to give you an update on our newest product called MiloTreeCart. So this is a tool to help creators and bloggers sell digital products directly to their audiences. You can sell digital downloads like e-cookbooks, templates, digital art, digital planners. You can sell workshops, memberships, coaching, and we give you free sales pages. So put up your products, put up your offer, go sell them. If you have an audience and you are not selling to them, there is money to be made. So head to MiloTreeCart.com and get started. Go play around. For today's episode, it is all about digital products. I am interviewing Eden Freed. She runs a summit called RebelBosses.com, which we'll talk about, and she teaches people how to get started selling digital products to their audiences. You see, this all comes full circle. I really enjoyed this conversation. I learned a lot from Eden. I think her personal story is really interesting. So without further delay, here is my interview with Eden Freed. Eden, welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast. It is so nice to connect with you.
Awesome. I'm so glad to be here and excited for this conversation. Thanks for having me.
So will you, because I know nothing about your background, will you explain how you got into digital products, the online space, what your background is, and where you are today?
Absolutely. Okay. So hit that rewind button back to 2016. I was actually enrolled to go to law school. I had taken the LSAT. I had applied to, I think, 12 different schools, got into every school I applied to, paid a deposit to attend a school in New York. And that summer, I decided to take a last hurrah before law school trip to Europe. My brother lived there. He was getting married. I went to his wedding. And my brother's actually a very successful entrepreneur and was at the time as well. And he did not like the idea of me going to law school. So he kind of made it his mission during his wedding to send all of his very entrepreneurial friends over in my direction to sway me out of going to law school. And they succeeded.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I was there, and my boyfriend at the time, he's my husband now. I called him once I got Wi-Fi on my phone, and I said, I'm actually not going to go to law school. I'm going to hit the pause button on that and try to see if I can start a blog and make money online for at least a year. And if at the end of a year it doesn't work out for me, then I can always go back to law school. I just deferred my admission. But a year later, I told the school I wasn't coming, and I just went all in my online business.
So what blog? So tell me your thinking. You go, okay, I'm going to start a blog. What blog?
Yeah, that's the question I was wondering about too. I had a million question marks in my head. My brother gave me this piece of advice that I remember vividly, and I hated him at the time for the advice, but it makes more sense now. He told me when I said, what should I do? He said, just do something, do anything, literally anything. And at the time, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know. I have no idea what to do. So I just made it my goal to literally try whatever I could to turn a profit. And so I started, my brother's background was in affiliate marketing. And so I decided to try to make an affiliate marketing website where I would do a lot of research on different sorts of products out there. And I started with web hosting, and because I did know a bit about making websites at the time. So I explored web hosting and becoming a web hosting affiliate. And, I'm sure lots of people listening are like, oh, there's a million and one of those people out there. And that's true. But dipping my toe into the water in that taught me a lot about writing blogs and SEO and even more of the technical aspects of just being a presence online and setting up a website that does bring in some traffic. From there, I started to offer some just like freelance services, so some SEO services, purely based off of what I had learned on my own online. And I did some web design. I dipped my toe in the water on Upwork. I don't even think there was a Fiverr then, but if you're not familiar with Upwork, it's a similar sort of platform. I drastically undercharged for my services. I won't even tell you. I did a lot of freelance writing. I wrote like for $10 an article, like 1,000+ words.
Wow.
But
I wish I hired you.
Right? I can't believe I did that. But I literally took my brother's advice and just did anything I could. Somewhere along the way, I started documenting my journey of, can I make money online? And I was one of those people that published some income reports, and I shared like how much money I was making and exactly how I made the money and what my expenses were. I did start to make a little bit of money here and there from affiliate commissions, but somewhere along the way, I had created a Facebook group to talk about this journey. And at the same time as that, I created a Pinterest account. And unlike a lot of women out there, I had never used Pinterest. Like I'd never browsed like home decor, shoes, or anything, that wasn't my thing. But I did start using Pinterest to promote my blog content. And I grew a following really quickly on Pinterest, and I got a lot of traffic very quickly from Pinterest. And I had this new Facebook group where I was documenting all of the things that I was doing, and people were following along. And I had shared like what I was doing on Pinterest, and people wanted me to make a course for it. So I made a course for how I grew my Pinterest account. And when I say course, I mean, it was like a teeny tiny, like recorded it from the audio on my computer at the time, nothing fancy at all. I think I started charging like $18 for it. Very quickly, I got tons of customers. Like I didn't really do anything special, to be completely honest. There wasn't a major launch or anything, because I just truly was putting, here's what I did on Pinterest into this course in asterisks or in air quotes. And people were buying it. And eventually, that made its first $500 and its first $1,000 and $2,000. And I realized there is something to this. It was much more enjoyable than affiliate marketing. The gratification of it was much more fulfilling. I liked teaching. Before I was going to be a lawyer, I was actually going to be a teacher, among the other hats that I don't still wear anymore. But it was very fulfilling. And I thought, you know what, this is more my thing. This feels better to me. This feels easier. I could see a future with this. And I doubled down on creating what we call now digital products, and creating courses and ebooks and things like that. And now I teach other people how to do that same thing, but to do it fast and simple without all of the hoops to jump through, essentially. So yeah, that's what I do.
I love that. I love that story, because I am a big proponent in something I call emergent business building, which is it emerges. And I use this example. I live in Austin, and the cool thing, people will be like, oh, Austin's cool. And it's cool for this reason. There'll be a strip mall that is like dilapidated and like you'd never want to go there. And all of a sudden you drive by and you go, oh my God, there's like a coffee place in the strip mall, and it looks kind of cool. And then like all of a sudden, like hipster people start going to the coffee place next to the tire store, next to the who knows what, like the Goodwill. And then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, wow, cool. Now there's like a used record store next to the coffee place, and you still have like the tire store or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, the sushi restaurant, a cool sushi restaurant is right there as well. And then the succulent store shows up, and it just kind of emerges. And I feel like the most successful online entrepreneurs I speak to build their businesses that way. They look for where the traction is. They go, I say you're like a miner and you're out in the hills mining for gold. And you did, like when you started your journey, you didn't know where the gold was. And then because ended up on Pinterest and because you were getting traffic and you put it together, you saw this opportunity, you experimented, maybe you didn't know your Pinterest course would work. And then it did. And then you leaned into it. So I love that idea. And I think that we get so caught up. Yesterday, I was coaching somebody to help them set up a paid workshop using MiloTreeCart, our product. And she says to me, okay, so we're going to do this workshop. When should we do it again? And I turn to her and I go, I don't know. You have to do it first to figure out whether people like it, whether you like it, whether people kind of come say that was awesome. What else? Like, where could this lead? But she so needed that structure to say, oh, Jill says to do this 4 times a year, and I will do it. Or I go, no, this is all about exploring and seeing where it leads you.
Yeah. And that's, that was part of the reason why that advice that my brother had given me right at the beginning of just do something, do anything. It was frustrating at the time, but looking back on it, I really believe that's the only thing I could have done. I mean, nobody can tell you, hey, this is the recipe for success for you, because you kind of have to try and fail at a million things until you find something that is successful for you. And honestly, that won't necessarily be successful all the time forever. You find the next thing after that one stops working. And you have to be okay with that, though. That's it's an ongoing journey.
And let's talk about digital. When we say digital, you and I, digital products, like we know what we're talking about. When somebody says to you, Eden, what's a digital product? What do you say?
A digital product, in my opinion, is anything that you can sell online. And that could be truly in any format. It could be an ebook, it can be an online course, it can be printables, it can be like virtual stickers, or it could presets on your phone if you're into photography, anything like that, anything that is digital in exchange for dollars or whatever currency you're selling in counts as a digital product.
So would you say a free workshop, a free webinar is a
Absolutely.
digital product?
Yeah, I do. That would be an example of a digital product that if it's free, obviously you're not making money off of it, but it's still a product. And maybe one day down the line, you start charging for it. Essentially anything you don't have to ship in the mail, anything you don't have to put a stamp on, that's a digital product.
Right. And some other ones, because of course I'm leaning into this as, I'm like a big fan. Anybody who listens to this, paid workshops, because you can set it up super quick and you can test and you can show up live with your audience. Memberships. Another good one, things like apps, like any kind of SaaS, any kind of music, digital art. There are so many things, like go to Etsy and take a look around. A lot of that is digital products, wedding invitations, those things.
Yes, exactly.
So it's a big thing. So, okay. When you coach people and say, go make a digital product, and they go, sounds great. Where do I start? What do you say?
Honestly, I'm going to, I guess, back up a step even before that and say a lot of people do it backwards.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what people do and
Please.
Tell you how to do it differently. A lot of people are like, hey, this sounds really great. It sounds like I can make a lot of money from digital products. Let me just make something and sell it and see how it goes. And then, the worst case scenario happens and they make whatever it is that they have in their mind and nobody buys it. So where I recommend that people start is the very beginning. It starts with, who do you want to serve? Who do you want your audience to be? And as a business owner, you get to decide who your audience is, which is kind of cool. It's unlike getting a 9-to-5 job working for somebody else. They decide who your customers are and who you answer to. You get to decide who your audience is, but your audience should decide what your product is. At least that's what I believe. Yeah.
I like that. No, I just want to stop for 1 second and say, yes, you think you know who your audience is, but our first site that we started in 2009, still big deal, Catch My Party. My husband and I built this site. My husband at the time was working at MySpace. I was a writer in Hollywood writing teen girl comedies. We're like, we know our audience. Our audience is teen girls. And we're going to create Catch My Party as a social photo sharing site for girls to share photos of their sweet 16s. It was like heyday of, there was this MTV show called My Super Sweet 16. So we were like sweet 16s, bar and bat mitzvahs, quinceañeras, proms, the whole thing. And I'm a 30-something-year-old woman, not a mom yet, stalking teen girls on the internet saying, hey, want to put your party photos up on my site? And nobody did. And we're like, and by the way, we had like, it was this explosion of pinks and purples. We hired a team in Indonesia to build our site. And now we had the chicken and egg problem. Nobody's going to come to our site if there's no content on our site. So how do we do this? And it was like this uphill battle. And then weirdly, one day I look at our site, and a mom with an Etsy shop put up party photos on our site with a link to her Etsy shop. And they were beautiful. And then like the next day, another mom and I was not a mom yet. So I'm like, I don't get this. Another mom with an Etsy shop they were beautiful, but selling like party supplies, put their photos up on our site. And my husband and I stepped back and went, oh no, we're attracting the wrong audience. Oh shoot. Like no teen girls gonna want to put her party photos up on a site with like My Little Pony parties. And we thought to ourselves, we should delete these accounts. And then thank God, we stepped back, we thought about it, and we said, wait a second, maybe this is our audience. So, and it is like, if you're a mom planning parties, going to Pinterest, you will end up on my site. So no teen girls put party photos up on our site, and tons of moms put party photos up on our site, especially moms with Etsy shops. So you think you know who your audience is, but I just had to say, you think you know that you can choose your audience, but be open to the fact that you might be wrong.
Yeah, I love that. And that just kind of goes to show that you have to be agile in everything that you're doing online. It's kind of like expect the unexpected, right? and be open to pivoting. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be looking at it through like the eyes that we were first looking at this was, oh no, we screwed up, or somehow this thing got screwed up. And then thank God we didn't do anything. We didn't delete these accounts, and we kind of took a break. We were in Palm Springs on vacation. And I think that helped because it was like we were in a different environment. And that's when we kind of went, oh, look, if we look through this perspective, we're screwed. But yet, if we just kind of turn our perspective a little bit, there's a business there. And we could see it.
Yeah, that's honestly that's a cool story. I like that. I like that example.
But it was it was like we were both totally freaked out.
Well, you'd go in with this vision of, hey, this is what I want to do, right? This is it. And I always say, don't be so married to what you're doing, because it can change tomorrow. And sometimes that's the most exciting change. Even if you're like, oh, I thought I was going to do this. Sometimes the most beautiful things in business come from just taking a big step back or a big jump back and looking from a point of not being so closely tied to something.
I wanted to take a quick break to say that now that we're talking all about digital products, if you are wondering what kind of digital product to create, I have a quiz for you. If you go to milotree.com/quiz, you can take this 3-minute quiz. It kind of looks at your personality and tells you whether you should start with a digital download, a paid workshop, a one-on-one coaching offer. I think it's fun. It's super easy. And hopefully it will get the wheels turning. So head to milotree.com/quiz, download it, take it, and then start building your digital product empire. And now back to the show. Okay, so back to your story, or back to what you recommend. So you say you pick your audience. I put an asterisk next to that and say most of the time, but you need to be open. And then what do you say?
Then you need to spend some time really getting to know your people. What are they struggling with? What are they saying? How are they describing whatever their pain point is? And after really getting to know these people that are hanging out around you, you're going to realize, well, they're struggling with this, and and filling that gap is where the product comes in. So, a lot of people are like, hey, I want to make a product, I want to make money, and they just make the product and go, and then later find out, oh, nobody wants to buy this from me. Instead, you're starting from, here is what people are asking for. If they're suffering, if they're struggling, if they're uncomfortable with something, and you come up with an answer to that problem, most likely it's going to be an easier sell. So you basically take that answer, you solve their problem, and you put that solution into a product format.
Now, wait, I want to pause you for 1 second. Okay. I hear this a lot. Go ask your audience what they want from you and then make it. What if you don't have an audience? What if you put stuff out on social media and nobody responds? So how do you then find your people? How do you find these problems if people aren't like raising their hand and telling you or emailing you going, hey, I have this problem and I would like you to make this product to solve it? What do you do?
A lot of times, and this isn't an answer for everyone, but a lot of times the customers that you're working with are earlier versions of yourself. And I find that to be true in business, especially in a lot of beginner businesses. You're creating a business around you 6 months ago or you a year ago. And so something that you can do, if that is you, is take a step back and say, what would have helped me, or what was I struggling with? And honestly, if you've been in business for a little bit, at least, you've probably already created products. These are my most fun times working with people is, let's go into your Google Drive. Let's see what things you've made. Because oftentimes people have made things that they use on a daily basis or a weekly basis or whatever it may be. And those can be products, and they made those because they were solving a problem for themselves.
Can you give me an example?
I mean, something as simple as like, and I'll give myself as an example. When I was launching a product, I created a task list, right? I created a task list of what I needed to do from A to Z to get my product out there. And it was just, it was honestly just from memory of like, I need to do this and this and this. I made that into a spreadsheet where I can literally check off the boxes and assign due dates to myself. I essentially took that and made it even bigger and better and started selling that, because that's something that I use to help make my launch process easier. And something unrelated to business, something that I did for myself as well, is when I left college and I didn't have a lot of money coming in, I wanted to track the money coming in and the money coming out, and I made a spreadsheet for myself. I just monitored my expenses, and that's something that you could sell online, I remember like way back when I used to go and download like desktop screensavers for myself. This is, maybe I'm like dating myself here, but that's that's something I used to enjoy doing, changing my screensaver, if they even still call it that. I used to sometimes spend $1 on those, spend $2 on those. Those are examples, and that's not really a dire need of like I was struggling and I was suffering, but it's a want. I paid because I wanted to have that. And that's another example of something that you may have. Maybe you took an amazing picture, or maybe you set a template for, I mentioned editing photos earlier, something like that. Maybe you could sell something like that as well. So that's a lot, there's things that we do to simplify things in our lives, or eliminate a problem, or enhance an experience that we've already done for ourselves that other people want and are willing to pay for.
So do you recommend people start with a digital download, let's say, because these seem to all be digital downloads?
Well, a lot of the customers that I work with are people who have the goal one day of selling a course, and want to create kind of a funnel to that course. And so they are selling, they're interested in selling more of the downloads. My recommendation for like where to start is what's going to be a quick win for you and what's going to be a quick win for your customers. Because honestly, the idea of creating a digital product for a lot of folks is overwhelming. And the overwhelm of how to do it, where to start, what tools do I need, how do I later market it, how do I sell it, what kind of cart do I use? Those are big questions that are overwhelming for a lot of people. And
All right,
so when I say,
okay, go ahead.
yeah, I just want to say, when I say quick win for me and balancing that with quick win for your people, the quick win for you, meaning what's going to be easiest for you to get out there. Because, I think time kills all dreams in a sense. You just want to get things out there fast. And a quick win for your people, what's going to be something that helps them reach their goal or solve their problem as speedily as possible.
So, okay, so let's say I've got some spreadsheet, and I've got let's say it's like a budgeting spreadsheet like you. And I think to myself, okay, I should go sell this. What does that mean? What do I do? Well, first though, thank God for Canva, because Canva has some amazing templates and you can make a digital product pretty easily. So what am I doing now?
Yeah. So I always say, so a lot of people say, oh, I need X number of people in my audience before I launch something. And maybe I'm the anomaly here, but I kind of call BS on, on that strategy. Because I really believe that the act of launching a product is often what grows your audience. And so you can both grow your audience and convert that audience into customers in tandem at the same time. You were mentioning paid workshops and webinars, things like that. That strategy of promoting is essentially what lures people into you. And lure is a terrible word that sounds all like salesy and sleazy, but you're basically magnetizing these people over with something that they need, something that they want. It's going to help them. So I recommend that whether you have an audience or not, you develop or plan to develop a system that's going to offer something for free. And on the back end, you are going to be selling your product. So maybe, yeah,
like a tripwire.
So it could be a tripwire. Well, a tripwire, that's even more on the back end, but I'm thinking like, I host summits, and that's a grand scale example of what I'm talking about. But I got started just hosting webinars totally for free. And on the back end of my webinars, I sold a product. And in the very beginning, I would sell a very inexpensive product because that's the only product that I had at the time. And that's something that you can do as well. You're basically teaching something for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, however long you feel comfortable. And at the end, you're saying, hey, by the way, I have this. It can further your knowledge. It can help you with XYZ. And here's the link to buy it.
Can you give me an example? So what was that first thing where you're doing a webinar? First of all, wait, before you answer that, talk about the product, but how are you getting people to the webinar to then sell the product?
Yeah. So, well, when I mentioned my Pinterest course, so when I realized that was working, I just kind of doubled down on that and said, let's see how far I can take this. And so I had a Facebook group. This was back in the day when Facebook groups were very different than they are now. My experience in Facebook groups right now are not as successful in terms of business, but that's where I started to promote a lot of workshops that I was hosting. In my niche, Pinterest, it was a great platform for me as well to promote free workshops. And then also at the same time, I had already been growing my email list. So I started, but those were people that had never bought anything from me because I didn't have a product. So I started promoting these workshops to people that were already in my audience that had never purchased from me before. So I was kind of doing all of those things. But then I know the big question mark is, okay, well, like what, after you do this for your own audience, like where do you go from there? You burn through your own audience. They've already bought from you or not. What do you do from there? I just started offering joint venture opportunities to anybody I had befriended online who had a similar audience that I had. And so I would say, hey, I have this product, I have this webinar, it converts at X%. If you partner with me, I'm going to give you this percentage of anybody who buys on your workshop. And that's how I grew. That's how I grew in the beginning stages. And, now I do virtual summits, which is kind of an,
can you explain for people who don't know, what is a virtual summit? When is your summit? All that stuff. Cause I'm going to be talking at it. Okay.
Yeah, so virtual summits are just think conference. Summit may be a fancy word for it, but it's a conference. It happens online. It happens over the course of mine is 4 days long, and some of them are shorter or longer, typically within the course of a week. It's totally free to attend, and there are upgrade options that can accelerate your experience and enhance your experience as a summit attendee. And over the course of that 4 day period, you have access to 30 to 35 speakers who are teaching you on a particular topic. So my summit, the Rebel Boss Summit, is all about creating and launching a digital product, exactly what we're talking about now, with experts teaching you on lots of different topics that fall under that umbrella, with the sole goal of helping you turn your idea into a product that people will sell, and that you can profit from online.
Now, just share what is the URL so people can go find it and come.
Yeah, rebelbosses.com is the URL to sign up.
And when is it happening?
September 19th to the 22nd. This is 2022, in case anybody is
listening to this.
Way into the future, but we do offer it multiple times a year.
Okay, because Pinterest is not driving the same level of traffic, because Facebook groups are not as engaged or engaging as they used to be, what do you recommend people do today? So let's say they don't have an audience. Let's say they going to be, dancing on TikTok? Are they going to be posting on Instagram? How are they getting the word out that they've got something to sell?
Yeah, everybody's niche is different, and what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And anybody who says this is a solution for everybody, it may, I would question that. What I will say is my strategy, if I could go back and do it again, I would do the same strategy of hosting joint venture workshops with people to grow my audience. Essentially, it grows your email list at the same time, and your email list is in your control, not in Mark Zuckerberg's control or anybody else's control. You own that. And, as long as you nurture your list, you have that under your belt. So that strategy of coupling digital product sales with webinars, with affiliate marketing, and with networking and relationships, that's a really powerful tool that definitely still works today.
And I was just talking to these women yesterday about their workshop. And one thing I said is, at the beginning of your business, be willing to go door by door. Meaning you have this person who's in your universe. Maybe you follow her, or she follows you, and you're kind of friends or whatever. And you have a solution that you think can help her. You reach out to her personally and say, I've got this thing that I think will help you. Meaning if you need to go sale by sale, do it.
Yep. I totally agree with you.
That. Don't think, well, I just blasted out to my email list of 100 people and 50 of them are going to buy this. No, it's oh, wait, I know Karen likes this, or Kristen, or Sarah. I'm going to reach out to them personally and sell it.
You're reminding me of something that I used to do. I don't do this anymore, but I absolutely would if I had the manpower to do it. But I had a smaller email list at the time, but I had, I don't remember what email marketing tool I was using in those days, but I could see who clicked on my links, just like you still can now. And I had a small email list, and I started selling, and I looked at who clicked each link, and this is a very small amount of people because barely anyone on my list. And I sent them personal emails. And I said, hey, I saw you clicked on this link. Maybe this is creepy, but I just wanted to ask, do you have any questions, or how can I help you? And honestly, those people ended up buying, not all of them, right? But, a lot of them ended up buying because of that personal touch. And like I said, I can't do that anymore because the scale has become more extreme and it's not something in my power. And you can automate some of those, but like you said, there's no shame in doing that. This is how you build your tribe of customers. And once they buy, they then love you, they love your content, and they go be your people to champion you elsewhere. And it's kind of like a ripple effect.
Absolutely. And so one thing I want to talk about, though, is selling. So we build products predominantly for female creators. And we see that women use technology differently, say, than tech pros. But I would say that the problem that I also want to solve is helping women sell. So you said it, you said the word, oh, I don't want to be salesy. And you know what? I am reclaiming the word salesy, and I am telling everybody to go be salesy, because if you're a woman, your version of salesy is probably not even aggressive enough.
I agree with you.
You're nodding. You're nodding.
Yes,
you're nodding.
I am. I agree with you.
And I just reclaim it too. Yes. I think that we need permission to go be, because here's the thing. If I have a solution that I think could help you, I need to make sure you know that. Mm-hmm. I know that if you buy it, it will help you. It will make your life better. I'm not trying to pull a fast one. I'm not trying to like trick you, like, haha, I got her to buy, sucker. No, I'm saying it's like kind of like this. Like, I have this lipstick and it's really good. And I promise you, if you bought this lipstick, you would like it. Like, I want to hook you up and go, no, don't buy the other, like, buy this. I promise you'll like it. And chances are you would. So it's that kind of thing. Like, I want to be your girlfriend hooking you up with something. Now, it's a win-win because this is the product I'm selling. But all of a sudden, when selling a service, it changes your whole perspective on being salesy or being aggressive or asking for the sale or reaching out directly. And this is something that I'm trying to say over and over again.
Something that I found, I work almost exclusively with women, is that it's an exercise. It's a muscle that we don't exercise enough to sell, because we have been conditioned throughout our entire lives to cross our legs and to take up the, smallest amount of space possible, and to kind of like whisper and be quiet and don't ruffle feathers. And
we're helpers. We're naturally helpers. Your children are not paying you for putting snacks in a snack bag.
Unfortunately.
I know, but meaning like we do a lot of stuff for free.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So exactly. And we need to be more confident and speak louder and take up more space, because like you said, selling is not a bad thing. I totally agree with you. And it's something that we all can do better at and should constantly work towards getting better at.
And one last thing too, is I think as women, we can get super busy working on our businesses and have nothing to show for it, because we're really good. Like you were saying at the beginning, hey, I've got this idea for a product. I'm not even going to test it. I don't know really. I think people will want it. I'm going to spend 3 years working on my product. And this is also, I have a thing about courses, which is, I think for most people, they are a waste of time to create. I think it makes you feel good, like you're working on your business. And then when you finally come out and try to sell it, and it is the stakes, it's just not worth the calculation doesn't make sense. So what do you think about that idea? That how do you push people to launch it, to do it, to sell it, to be uncomfortable?
Today is better than tomorrow. That's honestly the motto. When I launched my first course, that Pinterest course, I got, I mentioned earlier that I didn't do anything fancy, that I launched it using my regular computer. I recorded my modules and everything in the regular camera on my computer with terrible audio. You see my microphone here. I didn't have a microphone. It wasn't the greatest quality. I'm not going to lie. The content was good, but the quality itself in terms of audio and visual wasn't superb. It still taught the lesson and it still made money. And later on, I could recreate it and make it better. But there was one person that complained. There was one person that complained and said, hey, go get a microphone. But they weren't complaining like the content was bad. They were just saying, by the way, it was hard to hear you. I had to have you on, full volume to hear what you were saying. But that's fine. And I always tell people, if somebody's looking at your product, they've already bought it.
So I like that.
So you don't need to spend 100 years in Canva making it perfect. They have already bought it. They're consuming it. And they're learning what they need to learn from it. They're using it however it's meant to be used. So why spend 100 years making it beautiful?
Absolutely. I think that is, and I talk about this, which is go do B- work. As like a recovering perfectionist, that's like blasphemy to me. However, the truth of the matter is B-, I'm not saying do average level work. A B- is a pretty good grade.
Yeah. Yep.
So it is above average and it is doable.
Mhm.
And nobody, you think it's A+ work, but your audience doesn't, not everybody thinks it's A+ work. So to spend the time going from B- to A+, those are those 3 years you're working on your product. And those are 3 years that you could be building that sales muscle, creating a bunch of things, testing things, building your audience. And it's funny, I was just reading this newsletter today, and it was saying that, that idea, like you go for a job interview and you dress up and all this stuff and you do a really good job. And then right at the end, when you're saying goodbye, you spill your coffee on your shirt and you're so mortified. But the truth of the matter is you're more apt to get that. If you handle it with grace, you are more apt to get the job because you look human. And they watch you as you squirm. And we relate to people who are human, who are fallible. So it's that idea, like people buy from people. People show up for people. And the more you can let them in to see you as a human, the more success you have.
Yep, absolutely. And that is why I've never edited any footage in any of my courses.
Really? Is that true?
It is true. I say and aw, and I stumble over my words, but I like to practice what I preach, and I have no time and no energy to edit out those imperfections that make me who I am. And if you don't like it, then it's not for you, but it does the job, and that's fine with me, fine with most of my customers.
I love that. Okay. Eden, if people want to learn more about you, sign up again, we can sign up again for your summit, all that good stuff. Where would you send them?
Yeah. So my main website is EdenFried.com. I'm on Instagram. Yes, Fried. Fried is spelled like fried. So EdenFried.com.
And it's Eden, Eden.
Eden, like Garden of Eden.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm on Instagram at Eden Fried, and the summit is hosted at rebelbosses.com. You can go get your free ticket there. Or, if the tickets aren't open yet, you can sign up for the wait list. But yeah, I hope to see everybody there.
Yeah. And start building digital. I'm a huge fan of digital products. So
Same here,
I'm excited. Yep. I'm excited for it. Well, Eden, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys like this episode. I really enjoyed talking to Eden. My biggest takeaway was how creative she was selling her products, especially at the beginning, and doing joint venture workshops and webinars and affiliate marketing and really networking. I think there is so much power when we can come together and find ways where it's a win-win for everybody. I wanted to close by reading the newest review I got on iTunes, and it says, "Love this podcast. Jillian leads meaningful conversations with her guests who bring so much experience to the table. Looking forward to the next one." And this is by Fact Media. Thank you so much. And for you guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, please head to iTunes, give it a review. This is how people find it. I'm up to 90 reviews. I'd love you guys to take me over 100. And I will see you here again next week.